the zone. When it's time for the moment, you already know. Flip the channel, hear that voice. Big stakes, big stage, one choice. From the coin toss to the last shot, he break it all down on the spot. Sideline swagger, zip up jacket. Notes in the pad, whole board mapped it. Every city, every loud crowd chanting. If the trophy on the line, he's standing. It's the KR Big Game Show. You feel that buzz soon as lights go. If it's win or lose, he gon' be there. Talking every play like fresh air. Bills Mafia riding, full nation loud. Big smile steady in the tensest crowd. When the big game hit, he on call for show. It's the KR Big Game Show. KR in the zone. When it's time for the moment, you already know.
Ladies and gentlemen, the KR Big Game Show with your host, Big Game Kerry Reeves.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It is August 26, 2026. It is me, Big Game KR, here for the Big Game KR Show. I'm happy to have you with me. We're going to have a fun time tonight. We're going to talk about football. We got 4 days until the beginning of the college football season. We got week 3 of the NFL preseason and the last week of NFL preseason starting tomorrow night. We're going to have big cuts coming next week and there's been news this week about who's getting cut, who may not be getting cut. We'll go into that next week. But tonight we're going to talk about college football. We're going to talk about the NFL and a couple of big issues that clouded over both sports. But first, I just want to let the people know that our channel, we're at 201 subscribers, and we are over 21,000 views. So thank you so much for supporting our cause, supporting our channel. Keep punching that like button and sharing the cause, because that's the way, because we want people to join. And as a far note to us too as well, thank you guys for hanging with us. And remember that the opinion and views of KR's Big Game Show are not of any organizations, entities. They are solely ours here at our WAC channel, family, and guest panelist views. And with that, we're going to get started. We're going to talk a lot about week 2 of the NFL preseason battles. Some of the battles that we have left, there was really one we're talking about, which was in Cleveland, but some of the other actions, some others have been decided that Kirk Cousins will be week 1 starter. Right now in Atlanta, we don't know who's the starter going to be in Atlanta, because right now Tua's going to get the start in this third and final preseason game, but he has looked terrible. Michael Penix just started practicing this week and hitting pads, and Cooper Rush has played in the first couple of games and has looked really good. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on in Atlanta. We know what's going on in Minnesota with Kyler Murray. We know what's going on in some areas. We got some backups that are probably going to need some players that are going to make backup roles, surprisingly. We'll get more into that next week when rosters get set down to 53 people. But the talk of the weekend in the NFL was what happened in Cleveland with the Bills and the Browns exhibition game. Now, it would mostly be an exhibition game to see where you're going to be at. Bills had nothing to worry about in this exhibition, and they showed they had nothing to worry about. Didn't play any of their starters, gave their second team and third team depth chance to really show out, and they did in the 31-7 game. They looked really good, and they had good performances for Cleveland from Shadur Sanders and some of the other defensive players. But what happened starting after this game is where we're going to go. And on that note, Cleveland doesn't rock. The press conference, this whole mess began Saturday afternoon at about 4:06 Eastern time. The press conference of all press conferences, Deshaun Watson gets up in front of the media, and we're not going to talk. And he didn't want to talk about his performance in the game. He wanted to yell and rave at the fans. He basically said that the fans booing him was because of personal grievances and nothing to do with on the field. No, that couldn't be any farther from the truth. I'm going to take this as a 3-step rant, which leads into the decision Monday. The first rant was the press conference. That's when he did not need to be up there speaking to the fans. I got news for you, Deshaun. The fans paid their hard-earned money. Now, I don't condone them booing you when you got hurt on that field about almost 2 years ago. But for the most part, they pay your salary. The fans have a right to cheer and boo whoever they want to do. You are so thin skinned, you let boos in a preseason game get to you. But I will get back to you for part three. Here comes part one. There have been some owners in sports that people, there are some of the worst owners I've ever seen. Two directly come to mind. Bard Schott, when she ran the Cincinnati Reds, absolutely a horrible owner. Horrible. The things that she talked about, she degraded nationality, she degraded people of color, people of nationalities. It was just unbelievably bad. She was just a terrible, terrible owner, never treated her players right. Basically, when Pete Rose got busted for gambling, basically sold him right down the river. Now Pete knew he was wrong, but at the same time, you thought your owner would have a little bit of grace for you, and she had none. So she goes down as one of the worst owners in sports history. Another one's Donald Sterling. Mismanaged the Clippers for so many years, but there was more to that story. His treatment of his associates, his treatment of staff, his treatment of coaches, players. And it came all down to he had a girlfriend on the side with his wife. And that's all it came down to. He was just a terrible owner, terrible business practices. He's up on that list. Now I can add a third guy to that list, and his name is Jimmy Haslam. Because ever since this man has taken, and his wife have taken ownership of the Cleveland Browns, this has been a complete and utter, and excuse my language, shit show. Because that's exactly what this has been with the Cleveland Browns. From him taking this team, first of all, running Baker Mayfield out of Cleveland. Mistake number 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to go. Next mistake, he listens to a cab driver and drafts Johnny Manziel. Sets them back years because Johnny, as much as he loved football, he loved the parties, he loved the drugs, he loved the alcohol, he loved that more than he loved football. You ran off into, and he had good coaches. Kevin Stefanski head coach twice, coach of the year twice in Cleveland. That tells you how messed up the report that the Cleveland Browns are. But Jim Haslam, you're catering to Deshaun Watson. First of all, he didn't want to come anywhere near here, but a day before this trade happens, Atlanta had him all set. The trade was about to be done. Then you decide to throw in 3 first-round picks and guarantee him the biggest fully guaranteed contract in NFL history at $230 million. And of course, he said, yeah, I'm coming to Cleveland. And of course, you bring to Cleveland a guy with not only sad performance on the field, but off the field. We'll get to more of that in a second. But your ownership, your catering to Deshaun Watson cost you and forced you to trade your best player, Myles Garrett. And you couldn't even do that right because you didn't get the bag for him. You got a terrific player in Jared Verse. You got 1 first-round pick. 1. For a guy like Myles Garrett, you should have gotten 3. Heck, the Jets, the New York Jets got 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. You got 1 for Myles Garrett? You're an idiot. You also own a share of the Bucks, and you traded Giannis to Miami for a bag of beans. 3 players and a bag of beans. Unbelievable. Don't even know how to do that right. You are just absolutely terrible. The fans hate your guts. You're trying to sell these fans to a new stadium, and what are you selling them? This. The product we saw on the field Sunday, it just doesn't make sense. Next rant goes to Todd Monken. This is your first head coaching job. I understand it. Fans understand it to a point. But you're trying to sit here and tell the city of Cleveland and most of the nation that off of 2 terrible preseason performances, You're going to take, you said Deshaun Watson gives you the best chance to win. What? Apparently, he did not see what I saw, what the rest of America saw, even more important, what Cleveland fans saw. There's a reason why when this job came open, no big name coach that was out there, and there were some big name coaches that were out there on this coaching search. No big name coach wanted to touch this job. It got to the point Todd Monken was not their first choice. He was more like their fifth or sixth. And basically, he took the job because nobody else wanted it. And now you're trying to convince Cleveland fans that after 2 terrible preseason performances, Deshaun Watson gives you the best chance to score points and win a game. And you try to say that with a straight face. Newsflash, nobody believes you. Not one person out there believes anything that you said. This is the same Todd Monken that at the NFL meetings in Florida, when they were taking the pictures of the 32 head coaches, he missed the photo shoot because he was getting a haircut. That tells you a lot about the Cleveland Browns right there. Mismanagement, dysfunction. And Andrew Berry, I have to throw you in here too. What were you thinking? You didn't have a say in this decision. This decision came straight from Jimmy Haslam. I know it. Everybody out there knows it. National prognosticators know it. More importantly, the city of Cleveland knows. And those are old school football fans. They are traditional they know ball. They know ball. They know that this is crap. They know that this decision absolutely reeks. And Deshaun Watson, what this comes down to for him is a 2-game audition. A 2-game audition. The first 2 games are on the road in Jacksonville and in Tampa. I expect them to get killed. And I'm going to give a kudos here in a minute, but I'm going to get to Deshaun Watson. It wasn't just what you said about the fans at the press conference. It was one other thing that you said that basically ended any respect or anything from this guy. When you had the nerve, after a reporter asked you, does this Saturday make you regret coming to Cleveland? You had the nerve to shape your mouth and say, I don't regret anything that I've ever done in my life. The Lord has put me in positions to succeed, and I feel like I've done it. Funny, I don't think a 9-10 record with 58% completion percentage, you're 9-10. And oh, by the way, you were suspended 11 games also before you even joined Cleveland for your part. And most importantly, I don't think 27 civil cases of women out there, so sexual assault have anything to do saying that you put the Lord's name in that. Not one case, folks, not 2 cases, but 27. 27 civil suits are out there because of you. I have none respect for you. None. And this is a fellow black man talking to another black man. What you've done, in a way, is hurt your case. You've heard a case from other black quarterbacks. Black quarterbacks now are going to be they're going to look at everything. They're going to be looking at character. They're not just going to be looking at ability. They're just not going to look at arm strength. They're not just going to be looking at legs. They're looking at character now. And that's all because of you. That's all because of you. And I have an honorable mention. Kudos to Shedeur Sanders. This man has handled everything that has come down the line with the class and dignity and the professionalism. He has shown more professionalism in his pinky than Deshaun Watson has ever showed in his entire football career. And this is just me talking, but if I was him, I would go to his agent and I would tell him, whatever you got to do, get me the hell out of Cleveland and out of this get me out of this organization, because this organization has proved they can't do anything right. They've done everything wrong, and they just can't do anything right. He may not be the best quarterback, and I get that, but he played a lot better in this preseason than Deshaun Watson has. And Deshaun Watson has basically turned fans off, because it's not because of the play. If you balled out, the fans would forget about your transgressions. They wouldn't even bring them up. But because you haven't balled, and that's why they boo you, because you suck. You haven't balled. That's why they're booing you. They're going to continue to boo you. If you lose these first 2 games, I don't see you starting game 3 when they're opening at home against Carolina. I believe Shedeur Sanders will be the starting quarterback in week 3. You have a 2-week audition. You're gone next year. Dan Orlovsky on ESPN said this the other morning, that the Cleveland Browns are already looking to 2027. In most ways, he is right. Fair warning to the quarterbacks in the college era that are coming out. If you have eligibility left and you're being projected to Cleveland, stay in school. Stay in school. It's not worth going to that show. Arch Manning, don't go to Cleveland. Do like Eli did 22 years ago. You tell the Chargers, I'm not playing for you. You draft me, I'll sit out. Let's go back 20 years further. John Elway told the Baltimore Colts, you draft me, I'm going to play baseball for the New York Yankees. They traded him to Denver. Eli got traded to the Giants. Whatever quarterback, if you see Cleveland at that post, if you have eligibility left, if your name is projected to go to Cleveland, you look at how much eligibility you have, you stay in school. You do like Damon Moore did at Oregon. He saw the Jets' name pop up as a possibility for him being a quarterback. He stayed in Oregon 1 more year. I'm telling you, folks, that show in Cleveland, it is not must-see TV. It is the most dysfunctional franchise that I have ever seen. And I've seen an awful lot of dysfunction. But the Cleveland Brown fans, you deserve so much better than this. Heck, people are already in Cleveland wondering when is it, or looking forward to the Cavalier season. Jim Haslam, Deshaun Watson, you've just made James Harden the most popular athlete in Cleveland. And that's a hard thing to do. That is a hard thing. People have misgivings about James Harden. But you've made him the most popular athlete in Cleveland. And he just got arrested recently for toting a gun in an airport. How's that for irony? The Cleveland Browns. The gift that keeps on giving. The wrong gift that keeps on giving. And I just got a feeling this is not going to end anytime soon. Let's talk about some positive stuff that I saw that I saw over the weekend. I saw Cooper Rush ball out in Indianapolis against the Colts. And I also saw Joe Milton. Joe Milton absolutely balled out. Looked great. He's looked like he's dropped about 10 pounds. He looks more chiseled, physique. That arm, he's still got that arm, but now it's got touch on it. He's hitting people in stride. He looks like he's going to be Dak Prescott's backup in Dallas, and Cooper Rush is looking for a spot on Atlanta's team. Heck, at this point, he could be starting week 1. That's how scary this has been. That's how scary this preseason has been. And Harrison Butker, not a Chiefs lover, but I got to give him kudos. He kicked what would have been an NFL record field goal of 70 yards Saturday night. But because it's exhibition, it doesn't count in the record books. It only has to happen in the regular season. That is some of the highlights I have from week 2 in the NFL. Week 3 begins tomorrow night, and it goes through Saturday. And the big cuts. By Tuesday at 4 o'clock, all NFL teams, all 32, has to get down to 53 players. Now, we are 4 days. We are 4 days. Actually, we are 3.5 days away from the beginning of college football season when North Carolina takes on TCU in Ireland. And speaking of what could be Bill Belichick, you've got some interesting decisions to make. You got your quarterback. Who else is going to be around? I think this is the biggest game of Bill Belichick's. This is the biggest game of his college legacy. This may be the biggest game of his entire legacy. Because people thought when he took this job, he was going to come in and NFL his way to success. 4-8's not success. Heck, it could have been 2-10. It's bad. It's gotten bad. Your right-hand man, Michael Lombardi, is on a leave of absence. Nothing has gone right for you in a year and getting ready to start year 2. This game is big. You lose this game. Now, if you lose a close game to TCU, okay, I'm going to say that there's some hope. You get boat race in Ireland like you got boat race in Chapel Hill last year. After you scored the opening touchdown, TCU scores the next 36 points. You get boat raced across the world in Ireland. You may not get to come home with the team. They may just put you on a plane by yourself and coach, you and your hot little 27-year-old girlfriend, whoever she is, she's 28-year-old, whatever she is now. But I'm telling you, this is big for you, Bill. You can't win Saturday in Ireland, or at least make a great effort. You may not last long, like I said, by questioning the ACC this year. Other than Miami going either 12-1 and 13 or 13-0, who's going to get fired first? Mike Norvell or Bill Belichick? And as you can see on the bottom of the score, these are all the games that are being played Saturday. You got, of course, the game in Ireland. You got San Jose State playing. The only ranked team that's playing this weekend is USC. You got an ACC game between North Carolina State and Virginia, which does not count towards the conference standings. I don't understand that one either. You got Jacksonville State against North Dakota State. It's good to see the team go to North Dakota State, get some time, get that beautiful dome on TV. You got Sacramento State going to Eastern Michigan. 2 games I'm really interested in at night. You've got Hawaii visiting Stanford, visiting the farm. Let's see what Stanford's got this year. We know Hawaii's going to come. They're going to come and play hard. The fighting Colt Brennans, the fighting Timmy Changs, they're going to come fighting. I want to see what Stanford has. That will be on the ACC network. You've got Florida State against New Mexico State. And right now, Florida State still has not said who's playing quarterback Saturday night. They think that it's gotten down to that far. We have no idea who's playing quarterback for the Seminoles that Saturday night. And the last game of the night, you got on Fox, their first game. You've got Memphis with a new coach heading to heading to Vegas to play UNLV at Allegiant Stadium. Should be fun. It's good to see UNLV on TV. They look like they could have possibly a good year in the Mountain West. And I'm going to keep rolling along. Next week we're going to talk about some of the big games that are out there, and really the season gets going. Clemson and LSU, that game was saucy before. It's about to get even saucier now. And a sleeper game that's under the radar when you're not talking about Oregon so much, we talk about Boise State as a contender in that group of 5 for a possible playoff spot. This is a spot for Boise State. You can go, if you go into Eugene and get a win like this over a very good Oregon team, you set yourself up for a really good year. But we'll talk more about those and a couple of other matchups that are interesting for next week. Our quarterback battles have been settling this week. Alabama has named Keon Russell its quarterback one for the opener against ECU. Faison Brandon is named the starter at UT for their game against Furman. We're really looking forward to this. And Aaron Philo has been named the starter at Florida, which I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing all 3 of these guys. Now, granted, the opponents are not big-name opponents, but come next week, two of them at least will be in big time situations. Keon Russell will have his first road game next week when they're the first SEC official college SEC game of the year. They go to Lexington to play Kentucky, and Tennessee, with Faison Brennan, is going to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech in what should be a very interesting, fascinating ball game. And like I said, Florida State's quarterback battle is going on more and more this week. And hopefully they should be announcing it starting either tonight, or maybe tomorrow. Get a chance to play Saturday, or may not decide until game time to decide who your starter is. And next, I have another thing to get off my chest. My idiot of the week, which considers rant number 2. The NCAA should stand for non-compliant asinine assholes. Let me tell you about the NCAA. Sometimes when you want to wrap your head around how boneheaded at times the NCAA could be, and you think they couldn't give you another reason to be boneheads, they said, hold my beer. Earlier this week, we had a player from the Cleveland Browns, Nashawn Wright, get cut. It was an undrafted free agent signed by Philadelphia, released by them, goes to Cleveland, goes through training camp, plays in an NFL exhibition game, only to get injured, to get cut, and not even 24 hours after, signs with LSU to come back to college football. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen and it shouldn't happen now. And the NCAA filed an injunction. Now, actually, the NCAA was going to allow this until the SEC and the Big Ten earlier this week to passed with a unanimous rulings that that athletes that leave college to play in NFL cannot come back to college football. The SEC took it even further this week and included the NBA, the WNBA, and they're looking into baseball as we speak right now. Baseball, I think, is its own set. If you decide to go pro, you go pro. You cannot come back. I think they've always had that thing standard, but they're looking into that as well. Interesting, the vote from the SEC was, first it was reported that all 16 teams unanimously. Today it comes out that it's 15 were unanimous. LSU, funny, abstained. This is a university that not only pulled the right kid, basketball player who played in the G League, is now would have been playing for LSU basketball, but they shut that down. And what about LSU, huh? Let's figure this out. What's in the water to Louisiana? This governor has gone out of his way to probably be the most hated man in college sports, and he really should have nothing to do with college sports. The way the Lane Kiffin thing was handled, you get Lane Kiffin, he decides to leave Ole Miss for them. That's one thing. The next thing is that he hires his best friend, who was the president of McNeese State, to be the president of LSU. That guy goes to NC State and gets his old buddy, Will Wade, who, by the way, was fired by LSU 5 years ago because he was involved in a player's sting conducted by the FBI. If you remember that sting, Bruce Pearl was in the middle of that FBI sting, was caught in that sting along with a few other coaches and a few other players. Yes, and they tried to get a basketball player, Lucas, I believe that was a NBA G League player, to come back. He had got cut and was trying to come back. The SEC and the Big Ten right now have shut that down. There may be an injunction. Who knows? Knowing how these judges are, anything can happen. And I understand that the ACC, the Big 12, and Notre Dame football are supposed to make some type of agreement themselves when it turns to pro players trying to come back into college. But I want to get back to the NCAA. This should already be common sense. Why haven't you made this thing? Why didn't you make this thing more official when it should have been back in the day? No. The NCAA treats this like everything else. They pussyfoot around. They treat everything just because it doesn't do anything for them. If it doesn't do anything for them, they have no part, no saying in it. And it's a shame. Here's what we got. You got all this mess going on at LSU about players coming back. And Arion Carter, who went through the entire process, linebacker for Tennessee, went through the entire, declared for the NFL draft, had an agent. Agent paid for a plane flight. He finds out in Chicago that he needed to have knee surgery. And knee surgery will not be able, he wouldn't be able to practice for the combine. He wouldn't be able to do his own pro day. So in the window he had, he declared himself he was going back to school. He pays the agent back the full plane fare, everything. And he does everything right. And he gets suspended. While you have other players that are trying to go from pro back to college, you also had a gambler. You had a kid who gambled on his own team was going to play college football this year. All the wrong things that are being done in the sport, and a guy that did the right thing got suspended. Now, since then, it has been trimmed down from 3 games to 1 game. There shouldn't even be a suspension period. In this day of NIL and all this money and the transfer portal that is trading hands back and forth, why is this guy being punished? Why did this guy get punished when he shouldn't have been? And ironically, we'll talk about all the changes that are going on in college football. This is the 40th anniversary of the supposed death penalty that crippled LSU. If you love the ESPN 30 for 30 series, one of my favorites of all time is the Pony Express. And they did show what SMU deserved what they got. But compared to what's been going on in this day and age with NIL and everything, that stuff is baby crap compared to what is going on in today's world. And the NCAA was quick to do to SMU and cripple a football program that it took 23 years to get back to equal footing. The death penalty will never happen again in college athletics because of what that did to SMU. Future players couldn't come there. You had students, they went without football for 2 years. And in reality, the way they had to build the program up, they went without football for almost 20 years, almost being irrelevant for 20 years. Now they're relevant again. It's good to see them relevant in the ACC. It's good to see them relevant in college football. But the NCAA, y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself when there's no leadership. It's like the Wild Wild West. And no one will ever take the NCAA board seriously until there is some serious leadership, serious reform. Because right now, I can see why the SEC and the Big Ten have been talked about breaking away from the NCAA. Because let's face it, the NCAA ain't done nothing for them. And it'll continue to do nothing for anybody, except look out for their own best interest. And that's a shame. Because the real losers are the players that have worked their tails off to get to this stage in their life, in college life. You got coaches that have never done anything wrong. They're suffering for this. And most of all, the fans. The fans have suffered. All the changes that are going on, we don't know who's on your team from one year to the next. The fans have suffered. And that's the NCAA. That's all you. It's not the SEC. It's not the Big Ten. It's not even the ACC and that bum Jim Phillips. I would love to blame him for some of this, but I can't do it either. This is the NCAA. And at some point, you will not be taken seriously until there's some serious, genuine leadership in that role. There are my idiots of the week, and that was rant, and my second rant of the day. Now, my big game performance of the week, and on a somber note, and if you've been under a rock the last couple of days, the great Dolly Parton passed away yesterday at the young age of 80 years old. what a legacy she left, not just in the music world, but her philanthropy was even greater than her music, which is saying something because her music, quite frankly, was undeniable, incredible. For her humble beginnings, one of 12 children, starting performing on the Porter Wagner show, had her own variety show in the 70s. I remember her variety show in the 70s. 9 to 5, the movie, what it did for women, period, working women, showed that they had a chance to be in control. Her songs, the impact she made on children's lives, that's one thing I'll never forget. The impact she made on children's life, and the impact that will remain in children's life with her reading program, and all started because her father couldn't read or write. What Dolly gave to the world. She loved her Tennessee Volunteers. I still think about the time that she walked out with Peyton Manning a couple years ago out there on the field against Georgia, how the crowd really responded, took that in, how awesome that feeling was. She comprised music for the Olympic Games. She performed, one of her last performances out in public was that same year at the Dallas Cowboy Thanksgiving game, where she did a halftime concert for the Salvation Army with the Salvation Army. Sevier County, she's the queen of Sevier County, and really, when you look at country music, probably as a whole, she's right on the top of of Mount Rushmore. The impact she had as a singer, an actress, philanthropist, all around wonderful person. Dolly, you will be missed by everybody, but you've lived a very charmed, very wonderful life. Dolly Parton has passed away at the age of 80 years old. Thank you guys this week for joining me on the show. This was absolutely fun. I got a couple rants out of the way. We're getting ready for college football. How much fun is this going to be with some of the games? We got about 8 games going this weekend, and we're pretty excited about that. But the real weekend will get going next week. We'll talk a lot about the big games. We will talk about this past weekend, what we saw in the first weekend of college football. Maybe a lot to talk about. Who knows? We have some upsets this week. There are a few upsets in the games we have this weekend. We'll find out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody's looking forward to it. We got high school football starting around here with week two here in Knoxville. Some big games. College, we got some big games. There's a couple of big national high school games going on this weekend on ESPN2. I know Stallion was talking about that on Stallion Speaks this past Sunday, and I want to thank him again for allowing me to join them. My man Larry Frank, sign up for U Talk, man. That's an unbelievable show. That is a fantastic, unbelievable show. The guests that they have, the stuff that they talk about is absolutely amazing. Check out my man Stallion Speaks Sunday night at 8:00. I may make another appearance on there. I may not. And check me out next Wednesday at 6:30 here for the Big KR Game Show. And thank you all for watching and listening tonight. And when I speak it, you know it's a big game. I will see you next week. Have a great week. Have a great week on purpose, with purpose. Enjoy yourselves. Love each other. And I will see you next week.
KR in the zone. When it's time for the moment, you already know. Flip the channel, hear that voice. Big stakes, big stage, one choice. From the coin toss to the last shot, he break it all down on the spot. Sideline swagger, zip up jacket. Notes in the pad, whole board mapped it. Every city, every loud crowd chanting. If the trophy on the line, he's standing. It's the KR Big Game Show. You feel that buzz soon as lights go. If it's win or lose, he gon' be there. Talking every play like fresh air. Bills Mafia riding, full nation loud. Big smile steady in the tensest crowd. When the big game hit, he on call for show. It's the KR Big Game Show. KR in the zone. When it's time for the moment, you already know.
Ladies and gentlemen, the KR Big Game Show with your host, Big Game Kerry Reeves.